Hey, welcome. So, have you ever stared at an exam paper and just wished you had some kind of secret map? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're not just studying, we are decoding. We're going to crack the code to your exam with a master blueprint. Let's get right into it. Just imagine walking into that exam hall. But this time, you don't just know the material, you know the game. What if you knew exactly where the marks are hiding, what the examiners are really looking for, and the fastest way to get a top score? That's what we're building today, your ultimate exam game plan. So here it is, the master blueprint. This is our map to scoring maximum marks. See, the entire exam is broken down into 3 main sections, and each one has its own rules, its own challenges, and its own rewards. Let's check out the first part of that map. Okay, first up, we've got Section A, Reading Skills, and it's worth a solid 22 marks. You're looking at 2 passages. The first one is your classic unseen passage, with a mix of multiple choice and short answer questions. But the second one, Q2, is case-based. That's code for expect data, charts, and graphs. This section is all about speed and, of course, understanding what you're reading. Next, we're moving on to Section B, Creative Writing. This is where your structure and your creativity get put to the test. You've got 4 different formats to deal with, all adding up to 18 marks. We've got the short and sweet tasks like notices and invitations, and then the longer stuff like letters and articles. The real key here, being versatile. And finally, the heavyweight champion of the paper, Section C, Literature. This thing is worth a massive 40 marks. That's almost half your total score. It's broken down into questions on extracts, short answers where you have to be super concise, and long answers that are all about deep analysis. To put it simply, this section is where you have got to shine. All right, so we get the blueprint. Now let's zoom in on that first target, conquering Section A. Look, this isn't just about reading, it's about reading smart. You're basically in a race against the clock here, so we need strategies that give us both speed and accuracy. For this section, you've got 2 main tools in your toolbox, skimming and scanning. And listen, it's absolutely crucial to know they are not the same thing. You skim to get the gist, the main idea of the whole thing. It's fast, it's broad, but when you get a specific question, you switch gears. You start scanning. That's a targeted hunt for specific keywords, names, or dates. Mastering how to switch between these 2, that puts you way ahead of the game. For those direct questions, this 3-step keyword hunt is your secret weapon, and it's so simple, it's brilliant. Step 1, find and underline a unique word in the question. Something that won't show up 100 times. Step 2, find that exact word in the text. And step 3, your answer will almost always be hiding in the sentence right before or right after it. It's like a treasure map where the question literally gives you the X marks the spot. So what about those passages with charts and graphs? Don't get lost in all the little details. The very first thing you should ask yourself is, what's the big picture here? What's the main trend? Is the line going up? Is it going down? What's the highest point or the lowest point? That's usually what the question is getting at. Before we move on, just a quick heads up on some super common mistakes. First, direct lifting. Never, ever just copy and paste a sentence from the passage. You have to rephrase it in your own words. Second, stick to the word limit. Writing more does not mean you get more marks. And finally, don't ignore the fine print. That little title on a chart or a footnote at the bottom can often have the exact clue you need. Okay, Section A is officially decoded. Let's cruise over to Section B, Creative Writing. Now the game completely changes here. Your ideas are important, sure, but there's something else that can earn you marks before you even write one creative sentence. And that, my friends, is all about the format. I want you to burn this into your brain. In Section B, format is your absolute best friend. Think of it like the skeleton of your answer. If the skeleton is correct, you're already halfway to a fantastic score. But if you get it wrong, well, even the most amazing writing is gonna lose marks. It's totally non-negotiable. For those shorter tasks like notices and invitations, the rules are simple, but they are super strict. Always, and I mean always, put your final answer in a box. For a notice, you have to make sure the name of the organization that's issuing it is right there at the top. And please stick to that 50-word limit. You have to be ruthless with your editing. Now, when we talk about letters, there are a couple of pro tips to keep in mind. If you're writing a job application, it is totally incomplete without a biodata or a resume attached. That's a must-do. And for a letter to the editor, your job isn't just to complain about a problem. A great letter also offers some constructive suggestions. It shows you're actually thinking about a solution. And now, we've made it to the final section, the one with the biggest prize. Mastering literature isn't about just retelling the story. I mean, anyone can do that. The real goal here is to move past the summary and get into true analysis. This is where you show off how deeply you really understand the text. To build the strongest answers, you need a solid structure. And honestly, the best one out there is the PEE method. It's simple. Point, evidence, explanation. First, you make your point, your main argument. Then, you back it up with evidence, a direct quote or a specific moment from the text. And finally, you explain how that evidence actually proves your point. It's a simple, powerful formula for a perfect, rock-solid answer. See, to analyze, you need to know the tools the author is using, right? Like literary devices. Take a metaphor. The tigers in the poem aren't just literal tigers. No way. They are a powerful symbol of Aunt Jennifer's trapped creative energy, her desire for freedom. Identifying that and explaining it, that's analysis. Just saying there are tigers, that's summary. Big difference. Okay, so here's a question you're almost guaranteed to see in some form. Comparing two characters. And it can be a little tricky, right? How do you go beyond just listing their traits side by side and actually create a really effective comparison? The secret is a technique called juxtaposition. First, you find the common ground. What's similar about their situations? Maybe they both face the same kind of challenge. Then, you hit them with the contrast. How do they react differently? How are their personalities or their choices totally opposite, even in that same situation? That's where the really insightful, high-scoring analysis lives. Phew! We have covered a ton of ground, from the big picture blueprint to the nitty-gritty tactics for every single section. So let's boil all of this down into one final powerful takeaway. This is your 3-point game plan for success. Here it is. Nice and simple. For reading, your mantra is skim, scan, and hunt. For writing, your foundation is master the format. And for literature, your winning formula is apply the PE method to analyze. These 3 strategies, right here, are the core of your entire game plan. So there you have it. The code has been cracked. The map is in your hands. You have the blueprint, you have the strategies, you have the tools. The only question left is, are you ready to go out there and build your success?